Hello, universe. How you been? Better than me, I assume, since I am seriously sick. My face is swollen up like I was in a car accident. And I don't know if it's an allergic reaction, since I've eaten nothing out of the ordinary, nor been anywhere out of the ordinary, nor done anything out of the ordinary. And since the other options are all terrible, well, I have to be prepared for terrible. Even in the condition I'm in, it's hard to maintain a steady breath. It's hard to get saliva in my mouth. And it's hard to know when to go to the hospital. If it's still this bad tomorrow, I think I don't have a choice. But for tonight, I'm going to try to get some sleep. Pause. So, have you ever had a situation where your face hurts? Unless you've been in a fight, I can't imagine. But my face hurts. Like if I touch it, it hurts. If I put it on a pillow, it hurts. The back of my head isn't as severe, but I can even feel pain back there. So it's like somebody decided to make my head useless. Well, I mean, I've decided that many a time before, but it seems like the vagaries of illness are now having their way. Vagaries? Whatever. And I can't even smoke weed. How terrible is that? So I'm stone cold sober right now, which is admittedly terrible. But given that my breath intake is where it is, there's no adding smoke to the mix. All right? Pause. Unpause. The weird thing is, I can't really record in my normal environment because, well, I'm lying down with my head on a pillow. And even now, I'm very uncomfortable. Just, my eyes are almost swollen shut. My nose is so swollen that I can't blow it. My cheeks hurt if I touch them. And my head, God forbid I'd bump into something. But, not exactly something I thought I was a candidate for, because my whole life I've been remarkably and undeservedly healthy. Seems like that's about to be a statement I can no longer make. So, yeah. Not the best environment for a recording, I agree. But I gotta get this down in documentable fashion so that I know exactly how sick I was today. Pause. Pause. Unpause. Not that the doctors tomorrow couldn't tell me exactly what makes me feel sicker. But you get on WebMD and you're going to be everything from head cancer to allergic to your cat. And it's funny, there's this guy at work, or where I used to work, who used to tell people that he had cancer. And it's like, well, let's see this picture of you. Where's your swollen face picture? Because if this is cancer, you don't have it. Unpause. Should I be making jokes about cancer if it's my own? Does that alleviate me from medical inappropriateness? I don't think I can record. I don't have enough breath to finish a thought. So I'm going to hit pause and get back to it tomorrow if I'm in the mood, or now you know where I've gone if I'm not. I will say that I would... the idea that this could be an opt-out moment that was set up from the get-go, because the white light is the next thing on the board, which I guess that white diamondy light could mean that I set up an opportunity to pull myself out of Earth. Whether or not I'll do that, I can't say. But I wonder if this isn't one of those options. And, of course, I've already crossed the bridge. What if they tell me that I have to stop smoking weed, or I'm going to die? I don't know. I don't know. How pathetic is that? Well, that's how much I love weed. Unpause. Another odd thing is that my right half of my face is definitely taking less pain damage and overall pain than the left half of my face. That's weird, but true. In fact, I'm lying on my right cheek on a pillow right now, and while it hurts, I've been here long enough, like a minute, that I'm starting to be okay. But, I just touched my left cheek, and that's the reaction I have. That's not good. Unpause. Okay, I couldn't take that for much longer, so now I'm on the back of my head again. Everything just hurts a lot. Unpause. So, any active coughing, even taking a shit, I don't think you understand how much when you take a shit, you use your head for pressure. But, and barfing, obviously. Not that I'm barfing or taking a shit right now, but both times I've barfed, it's hurt a lot. And that's where I'll leave it. Pause. Oops, I didn't know I didn't hit pause. I'll cut that part out, but I'm uncertain that I would take the chance to come back to Earth if the chance were given. I think I've had enough. If this is an opt-out, I'm going to opt out. Isn't that a terrible thing to say? But seriously, what is there to look forward to in the next decade? I don't even know. For me, not much. Even now, though, I think I might be watching my life plan fill in with the one true variable I didn't understand was where my sister sat on it. Didn't seem like she sat where I had placed her because it's too active. It's too integrated with me, especially given that there's been really no integration this past 6 months. I mean, we've gone back to speaking to each other. That's a huge mending of the fences. But we don't spend time together because we do different stuff. So there's always been this person who's supposed to be on my life plan, who I'm supposed to understand completely, and they're supposed to understand me completely. And in that sense of sharing, well, I become a better person. But that just, again, doesn't seem like my sister. But it could be this person I met on Thursday. It could be. Hello, universe. It's 7:01 on the 3rd of December. And I didn't sleep at all last night. My face hurts so much I can't sleep. I can't even fall asleep. And the fact is I'm dehydrated because I can't get enough water down in my system without throwing it up. So whatever this is now has me at least somewhat concerned that that it's gonna kill me. And so pause. And not to be overly concerned, but my whole head is swollen. Like there's swelling all across my head, from the top of my head to the back of my head to the face. My nose is swollen. My ears are swollen. Everything is swollen. And it hurts. It hurts a lot. And it's gotten worse since yesterday. So being realistic, well, something I'm not very good at, but trying to be realistic, what can you say? I also forgot to mention that my left eye is swollen shut. I don't even know when that happened. It was fine when I got in the last shower about 3 hours ago, and then somewhere between then and now, it doesn't open. Oh, and I'm freezing. Something I never am, but I'm freezing. Unpause. Okay, so how can I say that that I'm worse than yesterday? I don't have a thermometer, which is stupid, I realize. But the pain is way worse in my face. And the swelling has increased around my head. Just getting a shirt on is difficult. And the only place I've found a little bit of comfort is standing in the shower under a gentle trickle of very hot water. That seems to be as therapeutic as anything, but it's not providing any relief or any progress in terms of gaining my health back, so maybe I'm just mind-fucking myself to think that it feels good, but lying down in this bed does not feel good, I can tell you that. Pause. And even though I'm sure she'll pee on something I care about, I feel so isolated and alone. I've let the cat in my bedroom. And yeah, how sick do I have to be to do that? Pause. Okay. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm not. In fact, whatever this is, I need to see a doctor tomorrow. But it's Sunday. And I called my mom just to check in. And she's insistent about me getting to the emergency room, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, Mom, I'm not going to go today if nothing is changing for the worse. And she says, well, let me talk to your father. So as she hangs up, I'm thinking, well, what difference? I mean, what is, this is more a decision that Dad gets to make? And so then I get a call back from my dad. My dad's like, you got to take 600 milligrams of ibuprofen. I was like, what? Advil? And he says it's an anti-swelling treatment. I said, okay, I will. So at 9:30 or 10 o'clock this morning, I took 600 milligrams of ibuprofen, and by 10 or 10:15 this morning, I was asleep. Now, I hadn't slept for 30-something hours. I can't tell you how good that felt. Oh, fucking God, that felt good. But I only slept for, well, let's see, what time is it now? Oh, look at that. It is 1:36. So I only slept a couple of hours, but boy, oh boy, did I need it. And while my face still hurts ridiculously so, the swelling does seem to be down a bit, at least when I push my fish together like a melon and see how squishy I can get it. It goes without much resistance. So maybe I am overreacting to something small, but after doing all of the various looks as to what can cause this, if this isn't an abscess tooth, then I'll be stunned. And if it's not an abscess tooth, that means it's brain cancer or some fucking way worse thing. So let's let it be an abscess tooth. Come on, Doc. You got one day to figure this out. Because when I come to your office tomorrow, well, you're going to have to tell me the truth. I just hope that truth is abscess tooth. Pause. Okay. Now, why have I said, oop, okay, I've done it. I've watched as much madcap broadcast TV as I can. My should swallow themselves shut just for all the bad performance I forced them through right now. And here is the thing I don't get at all. Let me explain what football pregame and halftime shows used to be like. And this is back in the 70s and 80s when there wasn't nearly as much focus on production. The money hadn't gotten so big yet. So it was a lot more of a, I don't know, year 1, 2 of ESPN, working by the seat of their pants, they had good material, compelling material, but they didn't have a delivery mechanism that was in any way polished. So there was a lot of clumsy figuring it out along the way that frankly was endearing. That it is completely worked out of it whatsoever anymore. It doesn't exist. Everything's polished like a goddamn brass doorknob. So, does this matter? Well, yeah, it does. I want to tell you why the youngest generation, no, not even the youngest, I want to tell you why the generation that's in their 30s and 40s is furious. And it's because they've never once been recognized. At all. They don't exist. Everything is built for people 50 and older or under the age of 20. Call it 25. Because those are the huge return demographics when it comes to advertising. Oh, but that's just the way it's always been. Well, but here's the thing. The 30s and 40s were given a story that things were expanding, and just like the generations before them, they would have more opportunities than generations after them, none of which has been true. And so, as they sit here just trying to be heard, they're told, well, there's no better candidate than Joe Biden. Who do you think could even be held to his level? Who has his record? Well, don't listen to me, don't listen to me, don't listen to me. But what about the fact that I can't even buy a home? We're a two-income family, over $100,000. I can't even buy a home. Well, get a second job. My point is, oh, that didn't feel good. Sometimes when you ignore somebody their whole life, at some point they're going to stand up in the middle of the room and say, hey, I am here and want to be listened to. So I'm not some philosophical wizard who came down the mountain to say things of clear, obvious, reason. So then why is it that we can have this entire generational malaise in the generation just before me and all the way to the next generation generally? Maybe because I used the word generally too much in that last sentence. But I think the reason is because they came in when everything got polished. They were here not to see the transition of winners on top of winners on top of winners. They were here to see that winners win. Because the way football used to work is you had a guy named, what was that dude's name? He was he went on to do the Today Show. Brent Musburger. You had Brent Musburger, Jimmy the Greek, and one football talent, say James Brown. And then at halftime, you'd have Brent Musburger and a coach. But these people rotated in and out yearly. And if they were really good, who was somebody early that was really good? Frankly, Terry Bradshaw. But his act gets fucking old. For a year or two, Terry Bradshaw's as good as there is. Not now. Go watch old Terry Bradshaw clips. He brought personality to a position that was about analysis. And then built enough power to say when winners win, we want to keep winning. So what do we have today? We still have Terry fucking Bradshaw. We still have, Don Johnson or whatever that guy from Miami is. I mean, these are talents that should have had their 3, 4, 5 max run. Howie Long is great. And for some reason has been able to maintain integrity throughout this entire stretch. But Howie, my point is, once it became clear that instead of trying to pull more people into the winner's circle, it was a lot easier to make the already winning feel like they could win even more and continue winning. Well, that's what we did. We sold out our opportunity to enlarge the circle of winners to a set standard of winning that is getting more constricted today the further we go. The thing is, if everywhere you look around you, all you see are winners, then you're going to be in a mood that you expect to win. But if you look around you and all you see are people barely getting by, then you're going to be in a mood to fucking fight for what you need. And where are we these days? All right, last but not least, and I don't want to belabor this point, but I really did speak plainly when I said, if this is an opt-out Noid, I'm opting out. It's funny because I didn't have any emotion in that decision whatsoever. Even when I said it, it felt very foretold, accepted, and not resigned, just accepted. But the more I've thought about it, the more I think, well, first, I suppose I have to go back to the person I met Thursday night. I have met two people in the world, ever, who I've been able to have the kind of conversation I had with this person on Thursday night. And the other person was, well, I'm going to say a decade ago, because I was working in the digital marketing industry. So these conversations for me come around once a decade. And the conversation was all about having been to the life plan room. And we had, and I could, okay, so this woman and her boyfriend come in, and they end up sitting down right next to me. I'm on the very corner seat so I can see the comedy, and they're sitting at the two seats next to me. So I'm barely paying attention to them because I'm watching comedy, and I'm trying to be also respectful of the fact that the boyfriend and whatever, I don't want them to feel crowded if I can give them room. So I'm even moving away from them a little bit. So when the comedy ends, I turn around and they've been saying, so I actually think I said to them, I think I heard funnier things out of the mouths behind me than I heard out of that stage the most time I was listening. And they were talking about how they don't think the comedy's funny and yada, yada, yada. And so I actually assumed that they just worked there. And I think I'd seen the girl before, but again, maybe just as a customer. But she didn't seem unfamiliar nor familiar, so the guy I'd never seen before. But I'm thinking maybe she works here, and one night she worked and I was in here. So I assume that they're employees or she's an employee. And so as I'm having a conversation with them about comedy, it's under this predisposition. And there's another guy that comes in right about now who's a regular and is kind of a norm, a 21st century norm, and is obviously friends with her boyfriend. So now I'm figuring, okay, these guys are all about to fucking get pinball on or whatever. But no, what ends up happening is, the two guys go off and leave the woman at the bar. And I'm not saying I'm hitting on this woman. She's like 23 years old. But she's, she's, I am not hitting on this woman, to be clear. I don't even remember her name, which she's told me. And I feel bad because now I feel like I have to have a conversation. I don't want to just walk away. So my conversational startup is, so you work here? Figuring, well, if she works here, I'm leaving. She's like, oh, no, I work in healthcare. I'm like, why did I think, you just seem like, okay, well, what do you do in healthcare? And pretty soon we're having just that conversation. And then, I don't know, 3-4 minutes into our short chat, I say to her, well, I believe in some pretty crazy shit that definitely wouldn't be covered by the American healthcare system. But one of the things that I've always felt comfort in is that my dream life provides me wisdom. And she immediately lights up and says, if I didn't have my dreams, I'd commit suicide. And I said, I couldn't agree with you more. And it was the kind of almost soul level truth that I've never spit out at somebody. I've never even heard somebody like put it in a way that I felt like there was no discordance at all. I would kill myself if I didn't have my dreams. I'm sure of it. And she said then that she had been in various states of wanting to and not wanting to until she came up with a dream truth that convinced her that she had one and only one way to go. And that is, those who kill themselves are trapped for 1,000 cycles. And as she said 1,000 cycles, I'm saying it too. I've said it on this recording. I'm like, exactly. You can't kill yourself. You're just asking for more. You're just going to get the same shit all over again. You have to endure. And the point of coming here is through that endurance, growing in your own self-love. So, when these were the points of connection she and I were making, this is when the boyfriend and the other guy walked back. And these are cool dudes. This is just a fun threesome. This is a fun young group out on a Thursday night having a beer or two. Good for them. This is everything I wanted out of life at the same point of life they're in. And so they sit down, and she's like, my boyfriend doesn't believe in this stuff. I mean, he doesn't believe in the supernatural stuff. And I'm not saying I was like, well, what if I told you that until a decade ago, none of this could have come out of my mouth? This is some sort of epiphany that until the age of 47, 44, 40, I apparently wasn't ready to acquire. And at that point, we're just finding more and more overlap that is, I don't know. I found people this way now. I found 3 of them. Well, no, 2 of them in the last, 50 days? And 3 of them in the last year. So she said, I'm not going to kill myself. And it's funny because I didn't like my therapist at the time, but there were times when I thought my therapist might actually be helping me from killing myself. So I held on to her. But then once I realized that that wasn't an issue, the very first string I cut was to that damn therapist, that useless therapist. I said, yeah, useless therapist. I've had those in my day. And it was I never had a single minor chord, let alone a discordant chord, occur from there on in. And I was making it super clear that I wasn't hitting on his girlfriend. I just wanted, but she was so into the conversation that I started feeling bad, like she should pay more attention to her boyfriend. And yet, there's no question, so was I, because I've never really gotten to speak at this level, at this depth, for this long. But I did. And so when I say, there are people here that no matter who you are, they need to know the real you is out there. It may be enough to get them through a day. It may be enough to get them through a lifetime.